Let us perform some analysis on our datasets. Previously our datasets was cleaned. Now after cleaning we can do some analysis, and after that we can use machine learning algorithm for the prediction. So here I will just insert a cell below and I will convert it to markdown, and here I will write a markdown saying it is analysis of where do the guests come from. Like it is kind of a spatial analysis. What does this mean? So we can see in our datasets, if I go right here, we have a country attributes. We have already seen here is a country attributes, and this country attributes represents the country from where these customers came from where these guests of the hotel came from. So we want to check from which country or from which part of the world most of our guests came from. We can use this analysis for ad campaign, and we can also do maximum, that is promotion on those part of the world where we have maximum guests. So for that reason we do this kind of analysis. So let us do the analysis where we will see where do the guests come from. So I will just get our data. If you remember, in fact it was final data. So this was our cleaned data previously. So final data, in this final data, if I go here and if I check the attributes is cancelled equal 0. So if I go and do this, then what this means? Can you tell me what does this condition means? What is the meaning of it? If I go to our datasets, then there is this is cancelled attributes. Now this is cancelled attributes represents whether the guest cancelled or not. Now if you are doing spatial analysis, like you are checking from which part of the country our maximum guest came from, we don't want that information of is cancelled equal 1, because if the booking was cancelled, if the guest never came, like if they never came on our hotel, we don't want that information. We only want those people, those guest information who came to our hotel, who didn't cancelled the booking. So that is the reason we need to check that it means that the booking was not cancelled and in fact they came. Booking was not cancelled. If you do is cancelled equal 1, it will mean booking was cancelled. If the value of is cancelled is 0, that means the booking was in fact not cancelled. The guest came. Now those guests who came to our hotel, we want to check from which part of the world they came. So for that I will get the final data. I want to access it first. Let me remove this portion now. So here I want to access country of them. So what we are doing here is, for those people who came will be checked by this condition. Is cancelled is 0 means is cancelled. If the value of is cancelled was 1, that means the guest cancelled. But in our case is cancelled is 0. We are checking for those customer or the guest who came, who didn't cancelled, and we are getting country of those guests who didn't cancelled. So if I run this, then you can see these are those customers or the guests who didn't cancelled. Now if they didn't cancelled, we want to check how many of them are there. So I'll say value counts. So value counts here means we want to check how many came from the particular country. Like we want to group it out. So here I want to also reset the index. Now after we do this, if I maybe run this out, then you can see here from PRT, maybe this is a Portugal. From Portugal we have these many guests. This 20,977 guests. This is how we do it using this value counts. We group it out and we can see GVR. We can see from France we have these many, that is the guest came to our resort and hotel, and from these countries they came list. There was only one guest from this country. So this is information that we got. Now I want to store it on some variable. Maybe I'll just create a variable, let's say country. Maybe I can be more descriptive, country wise data. If I run it now, we have the value which is country wise data. Now I'll go down and maybe I can print it to show you country wise data. We'll have the same information that will have the index and the country. Now this column for this data frame doesn't look nice because this is not in fact the index. This is the country. So this is the country. So I want to rename our column. So instead of index, I want to name it as country, and instead of country, I want to name it as number of guests. So let us rename those column name. So country wise data dot columns. So I want to assign the columns to it. So first column is a country name. So I'll say country, and the second is the number of guests. So number of guests. So first one is country. So let us check finally after we rename our column. Let us check our final data frame. Let us run it. Then you can see this is the country, and these are the number of guests that come to our, that is resort or to our hotel, and they came from this country. We group them. Now we can use this information for performing spatial analysis. So for that I'm going to plot it. So I'll just go down here, create a new cell, and here I'm going to import plotly.express ASPX. This is the library that you want to use in order to just load the map on our project. So you will require this plotly. If it is not installed, then what you can do is open your terminal and type pip install plotly. You can use this command to install. If you hit enter, then so in my case it was already installed, so I can see the information requirement already satisfied. If you haven't, then please install it. Now let us run it. Now after running this code, we don't see any error. That means plotly has been successfully imported. Now let us use this to perform this spatial analysis. So I'll just say map guest, because I want to just render this information on our map, that is world's map. In our world map, I want to have this information so that we can do, that is spatial analysis. So for that I'm going to use this plotly express that we have just imported, and there is a function that is corpus. So this is the function that will render the map, and first argument that it takes is the data frame that you want to use, which is a country wise data, which contains this information of the country name and the number of guests that came to this country from the country. And next is, let's say, locations. Locations is country wise data that we have, and from this data frame the locations is the country, which means I'm going to just extract the country only, this country. And now in this after I access the country, I'll make some space. So here is locations. Now let us give also a color. Color is country wise guest, and I want to initialize the color based on the number of guests, like here number of guest, the same column. So number of guest, it was guest, yes. So color is also given to our map. Now next, let's say hover name. So whenever we hover to that portion, then I want to give again the same thing that is here. I have given country wise country name, so I'll just give this same country name to them whenever we hover. And now next is title. I want to give the title to this name, that is, let's say home country of guest in our hotel. Now let us render this map now. So in order to render this, I'll just call this map guest, which is our object, and I'll just show this map right here. So this is all that is code in order to show the map. So if I just run this code, then you will see that I have a problem. Country wise guest is not defined. Country wise data, it was data, not the guest. So this should be country wise data. Now if I run it, then you will see a map. See here, it will take some time. See here, this is the map, and this is what I have been talking about. This is the map, and in this map we can see the number of guests, and these are the portion. And whenever I hover, you can see a country name. This was done right here in our code. Whenever we hover, we just get the country's name. So right here, if I go to this place, then I can see the France and the number of guests. So from France we have 8,468 guests, and similarly I can hover around and see the number of guests that we have to our hotel from these countries. So right here we have PRT, which is maybe a Portugal, and the Portugal have the highest number of guests, that is 20.977k guests are from Portugal. So we can see clearly people from all over the world are staying in our hotels. Most guests in fact are from Portugal and some European countries. You can see from here we have so many, France, Belgium. So these are the highest here. You can see this color right here represents the highest number, because you can see the index right here, and more than 20k was from the Portugal. So maybe while just promoting about our hotel, we can target to this area, because most of the guests were from this area. So we can also have some discount so that we can have more amount of guests from these regions also. So that is how we can do ad campaign and promotion using this spatial analysis. And we can see here, just using these steps, we can plot a map, we can give the color, and so on. So this is how we can do a first analysis, where do the guests come from, and how the ad campaign and the promotion can be designed for that particular area of the country, so that we can have a maximum influx of the guests to our hotels. Now from next video onward, we are going to perform another analysis, which is how much do guests that come to our hotels pay for a room per night. How does the price vary over the seasons? Like maybe in the June and July, the guest influx were more, maybe the price were higher on the holiday seasons, and the price were that is lower in the non-seasons. So that is what we are going to do in the next video.